Paul. Paul, we've been working with you for what, 2 or 3 months now?
That's about right. Yeah, exactly.
And the first thing I told you, Paul, as I said, we want to see how you do on our business and how you improve our presence in terms of Google ranking and things like that. And then if you do a good job, like Julie says you do, then we'll be able to then expose you to all of our 8 weeks to wellness centers. And I dare say you've done a really good job. I've learned so much in the past 2 months. And it's I have to admit it's a lot. I never thought it would be this much to be able to effectively manage your SEO campaigns and your websites and all the things that you're teaching us. But I do think it's a really, really important thing. So I appreciate you being on. And maybe you want to give everybody just a little bit of background on yourself and your company. And then, what I wanted to do, Paul, is I really wanted to focus on the three biggest mistakes. I know you have a presentation here, but if at some point in the presentation we can talk about the three biggest mistakes you think that chiropractors and business owners are making as far as SEO and website development, and then maybe the three most important things that chiropractors and these business owners can focus on to improve their web presence and be more attractive on the web, I think that would be great.
And you know what? This presentation is really tailored to the three things that they can do and the one biggest mistake. So, and it does have some takeaways and actionable items included within it. So, I think it'll be perfect.
And if we can leave, Paul, if we can leave some time, you usually leave like 15, 20 minutes in the end. And I do think there's probably going to be a lot of questions on this webinar because, again, I think, this information is something that generates a lot of questions.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to mention that Laura had sent over a website for me to take a look at. I've gathered a lot of information for one of your docs out in Madison, Indiana, and I've prepared some detailed information on that particular website and information about the rankings, et cetera, as well.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Dane. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm glad that I'm able to share this valuable information with the folks that are in your network, because they'll definitely get some meaningful value out of what I had to cover here. So, yeah, my name is Paul DeWarian. I've been in the website business for 20 years, which to me sounds like a long time, but I started freelancing. I had it as a side business, and I started a company around 9 years ago, and I now have a staff. I actually made the decision to leave my full-time job as an administrator at a high school about 6 years ago, and went full-time on my business, and now I have a staff of 12 people. And not only do we do the search engine optimization, we also make the websites. We do Amazon seller consulting, which is the fastest growing area of our business, and we do the virtual tours that you see of the insides of businesses that connect to Google Maps Street View. So that's kind of a little background on me and some of the different things that we do. So what is SEO? I like to focus on the O in SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and the word optimization really just means doing everything you can as best as you can. And that's a really simple way to think about what is this whole SEO thing. And as Dr. Dane and Julie have been going, Dr. Dane and Dr. Julie have been going through this process of SEO, they've been exposed to how many things there are to do. Some of them are recurring, some of them are one-time things, but none of it's really all that complicated. Most of it's just knowing the right things to do. And I can't get into a lot of depth into the technical pieces of why things work the way they do and what they're called, but I know that people outside my industry really don't understand all those technical things. So I try and really make it as simple to understand as possible. The reason why you want to do SEO is for many of the same reasons that Dr. Dane had said, which is a lot of people look to Google to find what they're looking for. So it could be going direct to TripAdvisor, could be going direct to Facebook to look for something, or maybe even Yelp. But a lot of people go to Google, and when you look at Google, Bing, and Yahoo, they're essentially, they make up all of the search engines. And Google actually has an 86% market share. Bing has 12%, and Yahoo's near non-existent now. So most of this country goes to Google to search for what they're looking for. And the idea of SEO is when someone looks for something that you do, so whether that's acupuncture, whether they're looking for a wellness center, they're looking for chiropractic care, if they're looking for anything specifically to what you do, you want to be the first one that shows up in your local market. And that's direct targeted marketing. It's much different than posting a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook and hoping someone contacts you or that you're top of mind when they need your service. It's much different than TV or radio or even a billboard where you are getting lots of exposure, but it's not targeted. When someone goes to Google and searches for something, and it's something that you do, and you come up, they are going in with the intent to buy or become a lead or become a patient or whatever. And that's a really powerful thing to be able to come up for that specifically. And the type of SEO that I focus on is the organic, not the pay-per-click, because with pay-per-click, when you stop paying, you stop getting the contacts. The organic SEO has longevity to it, so you'll actually be able to not only rise to the top of the search engine, and most people do click on those organic results, but you'll also be able to push your competitors off the more you do. And I'm going to show you how we've done that with some of Julie's ranking reports, which I do have prepared in just a little bit here. Dr. Dane, any questions so far before I jump into my favorite pie chart here?
No, go for it.
All right. So this is from Moz, MOZ.com, and they're a leader in the SEO industry in terms of evaluating a lot of statistical data regarding how SEO works. And this pie graph is the 2015 ranking factors. Essentially breaks down very simply what are all the different things that go into allowing you to rank on Google in a local area. So in Dr. Dane's case, that's in Newtown, Pennsylvania. In Dr. Julie's case, that's in Lake Bluff, Illinois. And in Dr. Kaiser, we're actually going to begin working with Dr. Kaiser. That's in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. So not only do we want to make sure that we're coming up #1 in the town that we're in, because we're close proximity to potential patients, but we also want to make sure that we're starting to spiral out from our main town to the towns that are surrounding, so people start to find us. And those are the different leads that you get from that you would never get through referrals, because they're just someone sitting down at the computer typing in chiropractic care or wellness center or acupuncture. Anything that you do, we want you to come up first and have the best looking first impression with what Dr. Dane said, which is those fabulous 5-star reviews. So in order to make that happen, the really crux of this whole thing is having what's called a Google My Business. And a Google My Business listing, we've worked with Dr. Julie and Dr. Dane on this. Sometimes you have multiples of them out there. That's something that we've been working with Dr. Dane and Laura on. Dr. Julie also had multiples. We need to have is just one official Google My Business listing, and that official Google My Business listing needs to have everything filled out. So that's that word optimize. So everything filled out means the hours of operation, the correct link to your website, your address, your phone number, and there's a lot of other things that you can fill out, like all the different categories that your business might fall in Google's system. And you're allowed somewhere between 10 and 12. They're always changing everything all the time, but right now it's in that range. You're also allowed to add pictures of the interior of your place, the exterior, photos of people at work, and all sorts of other aspects of what you do. And if you fill all that stuff out and your competitors have not, then that gives you more quote-unquote Google points. There's no such thing as Google points, but the idea here is if you do more optimization stuff than your competition in your local area, you will be rewarded for doing so. And when it comes to doing the Google My Business, that's just really, really important to make sure that you have all the photos filled out. You have the forms of payment accepted. You have the hours of operation. You have all that stuff filled out as much as you can, as best as you can, including a great description with links to the different services on your website. There's so much that you can fill out to really make your Google My Business really flush with great information, and you will be rewarded for doing so. So when I take a look at a business and look at their competitors at the same time, sometimes none of the other ones are taking this seriously, and it's fairly easy to get in front of them. Sometimes a lot of them are taking it very seriously, and we have to go be more aggressive with some of the different things that we have to do. But that Google My Business is really easy to get, and the place that you start, and this is the first actionable item, is go to gybo.com, which stands for getyourbusinessonline.com. It is a free website that's sponsored by Google that's specifically designed to help business owners put their business on the map. And I think they have a percentage that 83% of the United States doesn't have their business on the map. And if you're not on the map, you can't show up in the local listings. So really, everything needs to start here with having your Google My Business listing. Just so you know, Google My Business used to be called Google Places, Google Plus, and I think it had a few other names prior to that. But right now, it's called the Google My Business. You just come here to gybo.com and type in your business name and city, and you can find out what your status is on that. And I'll actually workshop that with our doctor that's in Madison, Indiana.
Cool.
In a moment. Any questions on that so far before I get into the second item here?
No, it's pretty self-explanatory so far.
Okay, I'm going to hop back here. That's 14.7% of the reason why you rank locally in Google is having this done. And it's actually not that hard to get done unless you have a whole bunch of them. All right, second thing is external location signals, 13.6% of the reason why you rank locally in Google. And this means having your name, address, and phone number match exactly, and that's what that NAP stands for, NAP, business name, address, and phone number, is consistent with your Google My Business listing. And that consistency is of paramount importance. And when I say consistency, I'm talking about exactly the same as what Google has in their system. So if we're at 123 North Any Street, if there is a version of your address somewhere out on the internet, let's say with Yelp or Facebook or City Search or Health Grades or any other place that exists out on the internet, and that address does not match what Google has exactly, that's an inconsistency and dilutes your ability to show up locally in the search results. So Google, if it was 123 North Any Street, I know for a fact that Google would have that listed as 123 N without a period, Any, and then ST without a period. So if it's street spelled out, street with a ST period, north spelled out, north with N with a period, or any combination thereof, those create inconsistencies and gives Google mixed signals as to where you're actually located. So fixing what we call citations, which is what these external location signals are coming from, is very important to make sure it matches exactly what Google has in their system. I know the business or the chiropractic care facility we're going to be looking at is Riverside. I have it behind here. Riverside Chiropractic Wellness Center, and they have 401 East 2nd Street. In Google, this is E2nd ST, and it does not match. Also, in Google, the business name is Rivertown Chiropractic Wellness, and there's no word center there, but on the website it does say center, so there's a lot of inconsistency even in the business name. And those little commas, periods, all those different little things make a big difference.
So that was something I didn't know, Paul, and I was like, wow, I mean, who would have known that?
And is it easy to change those, Dr. Dane?
Absolutely. And there's
Okay.
so many citations that need to be changed.
Yes, yes. And you know what? It's easy to change them, and we like to copy and paste to eliminate the human error. But
Right.
the hard part is actually finding where to change it. And a lot of these different, like you call Yelp, they're going to try and sell you on their thing. So you just got to say, nope, I just want you to change this, or give me access to my listing. So sometimes that accessing it and the verification process can be a little bit time-consuming, but there's thousands of these citations. All you need to do is have more consistent citations to your Google My Business listing than your competitors in your area, and then you've dominated this particular slice of the pie.
And that's
So if you
that's it's amazing to me that ranks as much in terms of the percentage of this overall pie chart, almost as much as your keyword.
the link signals that you see a couple boxes down from what I have circled here, that used to be how everything worked in Google when it started. It was just about how many inbound links that you had to your site, and those were essentially votes. And Google has evolved over time, and they change their algorithm a couple times a day. Yeah, that's 2 times a day. And they're doing that to provide their customers the best possible results. There's nothing, and we are the customers, everyone that's on this webinar. And when we type something in, we want something relevant. And Google, as of last year, said that these mix of things are what produces the best relevant results for businesses. All right. Show you this slide, which is interesting. It's kind of the ecosystem of everything that's connected out there. We can see that we have the Google Plus Local, which is now called the Google My Business in the middle. You see, some of you have heard of Foursquare. There's Yelp. There's the GPS services. Actually, that Google My Business, if you get that straight away, you can actually move your pinpoint. So if people are saying they have a hard time finding where you're located, you can actually pick up that pinpoint and put it at the end of the street of where the apron of the strip mall goes into where your place is, so this way it fixes that problem. So, and that actually syncs up to a whole bunch of the different GPS services out there like TomTom and some of the others. But you can see that there's a huge ecosystem of data that goes back and forth. And when we talk about making things consistent, not only are we talking about going to these different websites and making things 100% consistent there, but going to your cable company, your electric company, those are different places where your name, address, and phone number are listed in a database that can be queried by other businesses and basically proliferate the internet with a whole bunch of inconsistent data about your business, even how you're registered with your state or the federal government. So, and even to your estimates and business cards, those are things that people take with them and then they get entered in, or even magazines that you subscribe to. So that name, address, and phone number, you want to get that cleaned up as best as you can, so this way that inconsistency problem stops. I'll move on to the next slide here. The next one here is the review signals, and this is 8.4%. And review signals are not only how many reviews you have, the review velocity, meaning how often you get them, and review diversity, meaning how many different reviews you're getting from different people from different locations. So what we're really looking at is an 8.4% impact, which is for the ranking, but there's also a very important piece of SEO that we didn't talk about. This is all technical stuff. If you do all this technical stuff, you will rank well. But the other part of SEO that isn't technical is that first impression people get and how they feel when they see your representation online and they see your website, and that's what I call the human side of SEO. So even though having great reviews and getting them often is good for the technical side, when people get that referral from their friend, or they ask online or on Facebook and say, hey, does anybody know a good chiropractor in the area? What they're going to do is go to Google, search your name, and see what your reputation is online. And Google's results are going to come up first, and they're going to show your Facebook results and your Yelp results and everything there. So the review signals are a very important piece of the human side of SEO, which is that first impression that you're giving people. Because many times what they'll do is, without even visiting your website, if their first impression from if you have tons of 5-star reviews and your impression looks really good, they might call you right from there without even picking or going to check out your website. The other side is also true. If they see that your star rating is non-existent or it's bad, they're going to get a bad first impression and never call you at all. So what we like to help people with is build great 5-star reviews from your happy customers, so this way you get that reputation that you want people to know about your business. And then when you do get, or because it will happen eventually, someone will give you a 1-star review, you've actually protected yourself with a whole bunch of 5-star reviews, so this way your average drops to 4.9 instead of starting with an average of 1. So we always talk about how reviews are so important, and I want to show you an example here. So today, probably 10 minutes before the webinar started, I searched chiropractic Lake Bluff, which is one of the key terms that Julie's wanting to rank for here. And you can see here that, well, she's at the top, which is for a reason here, and you can see the address is N Shore DR, number sign 170, and I bet you anything that you see out there online with their address matches all this stuff very, very consistently. We can also see that we have several options here that I'm presented with. So statistically, if everything's equal with reviews and if everything's equal with reviews, people will 42% click on this first one, 12% click on the second one, 8% click on the third one. But because hers have all these, have more reviews than the other alternatives here, she is the shining star among the other ones there. So even if she was down here in the third position and she had these 14 reviews at an average of 5 stars, she would likely get the first call because she's the most attractive looking option. So that's really important, especially when you start to creep up in towns that are around where your practice is located. So if you're looking at getting up into those areas, even if you start creeping up into that third position, you got some other people, but none of them have any reviews, and you're the ones that have, your business is the one with those gold stars shining, you'll get the first phone call, which is just gold right there, because that's a lead that you can close and get that new patient in the door.
Well, I have to agree with you, Paul. I know Julie, and she is an attractive-looking option.
Very good. So I want to compare these three things to, and by the way, going back in terms of actionable, and I'll get to that, it's down here, but those review signals, it's just as simple as asking people to go to Google and fill out your, or give you a 5-star review. And there's obviously some logistics behind that. It's not easy on an iPhone. It's easier on an Android phone. Actually have whole courses just about getting those reviews, which maybe we could cover at some point in time.
Real quick, Paul, we created a postcard in our office now because we had, we see 500 people a week, and we had I think 2 reviews, and one of them was a negative review, I think from a chiropractor 5 years ago, who I believe went online and gave us a bad review. And now I think we have 9 or 10 reviews, but we created just recently a postcard to make it easy for people to take that postcard and go review us. And it's been great because, just reading the reviews that we've gotten in the past month, I mean, first of all, it does your heart good because you read how much people really appreciate you, but they really do want to review you. But you have to have a system to make it actionable. There's something I learned about called activation energy, Paul, and that's the that's the energy that it takes to actually do something that somebody asks you to do. And that's the problem when people leave. You've told them to review you, but they go home and they don't have the activation energy to actually get it done. And the postcard actually improves that activation energy so that actually that gets done.
That's a great method, and we use the same method with the postcard. And I bet to get that activation energy up, the way you ask them for the review is a big part of that. And that's something that we talk about too, which is if you say, it would mean so much to me if you would leave a 5-star review of my business because that's going to help me do more great things for other people like you out here in the community. And if someone asked you that way versus how you get asked at Kohl's or McDonald's for, hey, you can go to this receipt and you can fill something out. That the difference in how you ask just makes a huge difference, I bet, in that activation energy.
Absolutely.
Moving on, Facebook, social media. So a lot of people, a lot of business owners I come across spend a lot of time on social media, posting things, working on getting a whole bunch of likes, engaging people with comments, and a lot of different things. And I'm not saying that is bad to do, because you can actually generate a significant amount of traffic coming to your website and a great brand awareness, with social media. But the problem is it really doesn't affect how you rank on Google. So if you're spending tons of time on social media and you're thinking, yeah, this has to work sometime and help me out with SEO, the answer is it only has a 5% impact. So one thing that Robin's my SEO specialist, we talk about is if it only has a 5% impact on Google rankings and you really want to move up to the first spot in Google, you should spend 5% of your time on social media. And actually, when we begin working with people, if they're not getting any value from all the work that they're putting into social media, and some businesses it's just hours per week, we tell them stop. Stop doing that and work on these other things. Because these citations, you could get a huge impact, start coming up number one in Google and start getting phone calls from people who are looking for you. And if you're not getting that with your social media, you should be spending 5% of your time there and maybe post something every 21 days so they know you're not closed. And if you look at the comparison right here, and this is the slide that I want to get to, your next action, claim, verify, and optimize your Google My Business listing. Make every name, address, and phone number match your Google My Business listing. Get reviews on your Google My Business listing. That accounts for 36.7% of the reason why you rank on Google versus 5%, which I hear tons of business owners spending on social media. So you can see, just spend your time doing this, and you're likely to pop up very significantly. I've had so many people that don't have their Google My Business claimed at all, and in fact, the chiropractor we're going to take a look at in a moment doesn't have theirs claimed. And I bet you just claiming that and getting it filled out, he's going to be able, I looked at some of the different words, he's going to be able to come up for massage therapy in the next biggest town in his county very easily, because no one else there has anything filled out or even a website. So just by filling that out and saying that he does massage, the next town over is going to be able to find him right away just by doing that. Before I move on, Dr. Dane, I guess my last piece here is, I wanted to mention that I have my own webinars, and I can come back to that in a moment. And we also can entertain some questions on this pie graph if we need to before we get to Riverside Chiropractic Wellness Center, or Rivertown.
Cool. So why don't we do this? Let's review Rivertown Wellness Center, and then maybe we can talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that people make with SEO, and I have a feeling I know what they are because I was making them. And then we can entertain some questions. How's that? And then you can tell people where they can get a hold of you if they would like more information.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a look. So how much time do we have left before we get to the question and answer?
About 10 minutes left before we get to questions.
Okay, great. All right, so here's Rivertown Chiropractic Wellness Center. I always like to start with my first impressions. When I land on the page, what do I feel? And we talked about this in one of the sessions we did with you, Dr. Dane. We want them to feel the right thing when they get to the website. And my first impression here is, I see happy people. I see right up in the upper right, someone is getting worked on a table. So I right away know that this has something to do with chiropractic care without having to read any text. All right, and obviously it says chiropractic at the top there, but that's really, really important that they know what you do. I don't know how many times I've seen websites where you have a whole bunch of different pictures, and those pictures, the old adage is tell a story of 1,000 words. So those pictures better tell the correct story when I just glance over the site, because you literally have 3 to 5 seconds to engage the person when they come to the site and draw them in to learn more about your business. So right now, this gives me a nice calm feeling, and it tells me what you do right away. And I don't know if the picture of the gentleman in the middle here is the doctor here.
No.
Let me see. It is not. And that's something that we talked about with Dr. Walburn. So that is not Dr. Walburn?
I don't believe it is.
Okay. Well, we talked about your site, Dr. Dane, and how we wanted to have you, your sister Denise, and I know you have Dr. Roger there, have you folks up near the top smiling. Here's the people that are going to treat me, and they look like really warm, friendly people. And that's the feeling I want to get when I first come to the site. And I want to see those people who work there, and that builds trust in a website as well. So those feelings are important to make sure that you hammer down, and that's that human side of SEO.
I agree. I like seeing the pictures of the actual staff and the patients, and I think people are looking for that authenticity.
Exactly. And it's okay to use that stock photography to quote-unquote fake it till you make it, but it should be something that's on your docket to get some pictures, some really nice-looking photos of the people that work there, the facility that's there. What does it feel like when I walk in the door? What am I going to be presented with? The front desk of Dr. Dane's office is very impressive. I'm glad that it's on his Google My Business page. I want to see that on his home page too, with smiling staff ready there to help me out with my new patient intake form. So the other thing here is, the call to action. That's the thing. I see the phone number call today, but it's kind of up here, and it's scaled back, and it kind of blends in with the background. I see it here again after looking a little bit harder. I'm looking for schedule appointment. It actually took me, when I looked at this originally, about 15 seconds to find where to schedule an appointment. It should not take me more than a half a second to figure out how to schedule an appointment. And then the other thing I noticed, when I click on it, I'm not brought to a form that I can fill out to contact. Because if it's 2 in the morning right now and I want to send a message because I don't feel like picking up the phone and leaving a voice message, I should be able to do that. It doesn't need to go into any sort of fancy booking system. Just say, this doesn't guarantee an appointment, but we'd love to work with you. Fill out the form below or give us a call. But I'm having to work too hard to find the phone number and find the schedule appointment button, and that's what this website is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a tool to generate leads, which then you can close and bring in as patients into your practice. And that's the function of it. It of course does lots of other things and educates them about what you do in your services. But when they've made that decision that they want to do business with you, it should take less than a half a second to figure out how to do that. Even this contact us today, I'm clicking it and nothing happens. So I want to improve the call to action here, really make it obvious what the next action is to be able to do business with you. If I have to work to figure out how to pay you money, that's not a good thing. It should be very obvious. Another thing here.
One of the things that maybe we can, I'll let you finish, but we were talking the other day when we were on the line with Dr. Joe about Dr. Josh Ack's website and how we all just agreed it's really visually appealing.
Sure, I'll bring it up. Yes, and we're going to use that as part of the model for that project as well.
Right.
But, I mean, here's Dr. X. He's smiling. He's right there. And he's telling me about all sorts of great stuff that he's going to give me right away. No question that he wants me to register free today. It's obvious. It's right there. It's yellow and blue. It's different than everything else on the page. That's what my eye is supposed to be drawn to. He's not looking for phone calls, otherwise he put that up there. Okay. And actually, he does quite a bit with SEO because I have another client that's competing against him for the term adrenal fatigue nationally. And spent thousands of hours trying to do so and doing so successfully. So the other thing here is what's above the fold and below the fold. And I'm drawing a square here to show you, okay, here on a small laptop, this is all people would see above the fold. I'm on a giant 24-inch monitor for this webinar. But if I open this up on a small laptop, I don't see anything below here. So if this stuff is important, your Madison chiropractor, safe and effective chiropractic, live better today, this stuff should be high enough that I can at least see it inside this red square, because if I don't see that there, I'm not getting the full story right away. And the issue here is this header is just taking up way too much room. This could be slimmed down significantly, and we can move these pictures off to the side and really scooch this whole thing up and get that story as part of the initial first impression.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. There's a lot of wasted space to the right of that.
Yes, yes. Well, and this is, I can tell it's an older website, and this was designed probably 1,000 pixels wide, which was the standard width of a monitor back then. Actually, it's less. So these days, with the wider monitors, you're looking at, making things about 1,200 pixels wide, which is about this. So it was just the standard back then, I'm sure. So let's take it. I mean, I can talk about a lot of these different things, but I have a couple of tools here that I think would be valuable for people to take a look at. One of them is Google PageSpeed Insights. What's neat about this tool is you just Google PageSpeed Insights, and it'll bring you to this page, and you can run your business website right away through here, and it will give you immediate feedback on things that you can fix right now. So right here on the desktop version, we'll take a look at the desktop version. One of the easiest ones to fix under here is optimize images. So we see here optimize images. It actually tells you exactly what images you could be fixing on your website to reduce the page speed. It also has a lot of technical stuff in here too, but this is something that you can give to your web developer and say, hey, fix all this stuff so my score goes up. And on mobile, it says that your user experience is it is rating is 63 out of 100. Basically, anything between 60 and 80 is actually pretty good. I've seen a lot of sites get much lower scores. New websites I developed come out the gate with at least 80 on both. But the idea here is Google doesn't keep a lot of this stuff a secret. It's actually telling you exactly what you should be doing. And here's all the information. And it gives you quite a few tools to be able to do that. I also want to point out another tool, and it's made by a company called gtmetrics.com. You can, again, go to this site, punch in your website, and it gives you tons of information. It talks about page speed, and again, gives you a whole bunch of different details of things you can do. Your site should load in less than 3 seconds. The site's loading in 4. It gives you all sorts of information about this, including the waterfall, which I find interesting. These little items here, which are the slides, it says that there's slides in a slideshow, even though I don't see a slideshow on the page. But there's these images, specific images, that are causing over just under a 2-second delay before the whole rest of the site's loading. So this is something that either the hosting company or the developer need to fix this stuff, so this way the whole website, all these other files that are delayed because of these files, that needs to be fixed so the site loads faster. I bet you if you just deleted these 5 files here, the site would load in 2 seconds flat. So, I mean, there's technical information, very easy to find, free to get, and that's at gtmetrics.com. So trying to get you some actionable items, things you can use. There's also Google Search Console, and they got the mobile-friendly test. If you search Google Search Console mobile-friendly test, they actually have 2 tools. This is the newest one that just came out last week. But it tells you if your site is mobile-friendly. And it says that if I look at this in the mobile device, the text is too small to read. Clickable elements are too close together, so you can see it's too close for my finger to be able to click on one. You're using incompatible plugins apparently, and the viewport's not set. Viewport just means that it's not set to tell the website to conform to whatever the size of the device is. That's where responsive design with your website will help with that. I wanted to take a look at some of the other things. I noticed that on your home page you have this Rate Us on Google button, which is great, but it's bringing me to Google Maps here. And look, I can claim this. You just click this to claim your business to get started on getting that Google My Business claimed and optimized. But I don't see a place I mean, it's really tiny here. Write a review, and I noticed that you don't have any yet, but you have that button there. One easy way to solve that, and I want to show you something on my website that we have. Actually, I'm going to show you another website that we just launched, American National SEO. What's interesting with this site, we don't want any reviews from people who don't want to give us a 5-star. So interesting thing we implemented here, they tell people to click the Review Us button in the footer of their website. It goes to a page asking them, what do you think of us? Thumbs up, thumbs down. If they go thumbs down, we don't let them anywhere near any sort of review site because we don't want them to leave us a bad review. But if they do like us, we bring them to, great, leave us a 5-star in one of these places that's most convenient to you. And then if you do click the Google thing, it actually brings you, after you sign in, right to the page where I can fill it out right now without any delay. It brings it right up. So if I hadn't already reviewed them, I can click this and start typing. So there is no barrier in terms of steps for them to take. And it's very logical and easy for them to do.
That's awesome.
That's something we got to get set up for you, Dr. Dane.
I was just
we just got that launched a couple of days ago for that other company. Let's see here. Facebook, you have a ton of reviews. 25 Facebook reviews is absolutely outstanding. We want to reach out to these people and ask them, hey, could you leave a review on my Google as well, please? And just reach out to them directly. You can even message them right through Facebook to ask them to do that. And give them that link that pops it right into the place where they start to review. If you go to this AmericanNationalCO.com and click on this and go to the thumbs up and right-click on the button that goes to Google, you can actually get that exact link stuff, and you just pop in your stuff right here, and there's another place later that you can put that in, and it'll work exactly the same manner. Let's see. Okay, rankings. So in SEO, we talked about ranking, but ranking doesn't matter unless we get the. Well, let me start over. Rankings beget traffic, beget leads. So we want to make sure that we show up prominently for the words that we want to rank for. And if we do, we'll get more traffic to our website. And if our website is really designed and speaks to the person the right way well, then they will pick up the phone or use the contact form to call us. So that's where getting the ranking is kind of the first step in the whole process, and that's why I talked about it as an important thing to start with that Google My Business. And we'd see for Dr. Walburn, right? Dr. Walburn, he's ranking in Google. Google Mobile is actually different results there. Google Maps, Yahoo, Bing, and Bing Local. So we have this tool that allows us to track where you are in all these different things in a snapshot. You see these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 means the first position on page 1. 41 means the first position on page 5. There are, you can see right above my, in the little bubble there, ranking 41, page 5. Essentially, there's 10 results on each page of Google, and this actually shows you where exactly you are for each of these different terms. And as we go through here, he's actually not doing that bad for a chiropractic care. He's on page 2, position 6. He could probably hop up to the front of the results pretty easily for that term. Wellness, he's number 1. Wellness Center, he's 5 and 6. So not that bad, but there's certainly room for improvement. Now I get into some of these other words, fitness center, acupuncture, lose weight, nutrition. So I'm going to show you all these different terms that we put in that we've been using for Dr. Dane and Dr. Julie. And you can see that there's a lot that he's not ranking for. Here's a whole bunch that you're ranking for in Bing, but no one uses Bing. So we got to get those over to Google. So this is what his rank tracker looks. I actually compared him to some competitors in his area. That's Harris Chiropractic and Acupuncture Center and Jefferson County Chiropractic. We can see we can track where they are, so we can strategically strike and get in front of your competition where they are. And if they're not a competitor, not even on the board, we don't have to worry about them. But we could see in Hanover, which is the next town over from where he's at, his competitors are not on page 1, but they are definitely on the radar. But Dr. Walburn is definitely not. So we want to make sure that we're knowing where we are, so we know where we're going to go, so we can dominate. Let's take a look at Dr. Julie's. She's been doing this for several months. For her name alone, she dominates almost every position in the first 5 pages of Google, which is just outstanding. And if you look at all these third parties that are here, it's all those citations that I talked about, her LinkedIn page, her Twitter page, her Google+, her White Pages page. All these things are just put, if any other Dr. Julie McLaughlin came to the area, they would have no chance of being found for anything, because she's just completely dominated the first 5 pages of Google. Now, so what? You get found for your names really well. Let's take a look at some of the other ones here. If we go to chiropractic in Lake Bluff, and there are several that are there, we can see that she takes up number 1, 5, 7, 8, and 10. That's 5 positions on the first page of Google for chiropractic in Lake Bluff. Here's chiropractic care, 1, 4, 8, 9, 10. Again, another 5 positions, and you can see she's got a whole bunch of other ones moving up the chain here. And if we take a look at her versus her competitors in her area, we'd see that in many cases she's dominating. Some of them, she's picking and choosing which one she wants to work on. But this is really valuable data to just make sure that you're just squeezing out your competition. That's the domination phase of SEO, to really just push them out and just be king of the hill, which is where I like to be, and that's the fun part. I think that's it. I'll take some questions now if you think it's appropriate.
That would be awesome. So, guys, if you have questions, you can either raise your hand, I'll unmute you, or you can type your questions in the dialog box. But that was great. It's kind of a nice review for me, Paul, of what we've been working on. And, I always love to learn, so it's, Dr. Denise has a great saying. She always says, we don't need to know everything you know, Paul, but we just need to know that you know it, and we're implementing it. And, so what was it? I'll give you a great example. I mean, one of the things that I recognized was that we need a part-time person handling this, because this is important. And so we're hiring a person for 4 hours a week to dedicate to this, to all of the recommendations that you're making, because it just can't fall on my plate, and because my plate is full right now. So, everything in life is about whether you think it's important or not, and whether you think you should allocate time and expenses to it. And I just personally believe, and I know you do too, Paul, that this is something we have to get good at because it's not going away.
And that's right. And what's neat about the way we do it, and you're using this model, and so is Dr. Julie, we're teaching you how to do it. Yes. So we also have a model where we take over and do it all. But in order to be serious about this thing, and we talked about this the other day, someone needs to spend 20 hours a month working on this stuff. But that doesn't mean that you have to find another 20 hours. If you're spending 5 hours a week on your social media, stop it and spend some time on some things that we can show you that'll make a meaningful difference in how you rank and get that phone to start ringing, which is what you really want.
So we're starting to get some questions, Paul, so let's just go to these since we don't have a lot of time left. Could you speak about ratings, 4.9 versus 4.8? Does it really matter? What are ways to deal with negative reviews?
Okay, so negative, well, first off, you'll notice when you start getting your reviews, you might have all 5 stars, and your average might be a 4.9. That happens to everyone. That's basically Google's algorithm predicting what your average might be, and they basically don't believe that you'll only get 5 stars and that you'll eventually get something less than 5 stars until you get about 15. When you get to 15 5-star reviews, then it kind of evens out at 5. But the difference between the two, again, it's all about you versus your competitors. So long as you are the better rated, well, first off, just to get the gold stars in the search results, you need 5. So get the 5 first, and then the gold stars actually show up. So in the example that I gave you in the PowerPoint here, let me take a look. Oh, it's in a different screen here. In the example of the PowerPoint here, we can see that this review, this Nick Andrews chiropractic, says no reviews. If he had 1, 2, 3, or 4, it would say 1 review, 2 reviews, 3 reviews, 4 reviews. So in order to get those gold stars, which increases your click-through ratio, to even show up, you need to have at least 5. So that's important. Then after that, what's the difference between 4.9 and 5? You just want to be the best rated one. So long as you're the best looking option out of the other options that someone else has, that's going to be not only good for the ranking factor, but also the first impression.
Well, I loved what you did in directing the negative traffic away from the review sites. I mean, I just think that's ingenious.
Oh yeah. We don't, and don't ask anybody to leave you a review that you're not absolutely certain they'll leave you a 5-star, and then ask for 5 stars. So that's important.
Yeah.
But then addressing the negative reviews, I got one. It was like the schizophrenic guy that reviews all sorts of businesses like 5 or 6 times a day in my local area. I watched his YouTube channel. It's kind of interesting. He said something like, Paul DeWarian is a card who peed on his deck. It had nothing to do with anything that I do, and it was a 1-star, and I had 50 5-star reviews and this 1 star, and it just drove me nuts. But what I did is you get mad. So you get mad when you get it, but you can't let that show through your response. You have to have an overly customer service centric response. So you say something like, hello, I read your review. I checked out some of your other reviews. I noticed that you go around and review a lot of other businesses in the area. I would like to learn more specifically about what your feedback is about, so this way I can make sure that I'm delivering a 5-star experience to every single person that interacts with my business. Please call my personal cell phone. I would love to work with you to find out what we can do to make this better. So that's the customer service centric response. If there's any way you can prove, I mean, you don't want to start an argument or a combative situation with the person, because that's just going to spiral downhill, and you don't want that in a public forum. And then while that response was, go ahead, Dr. Dane.
So the proper response is what you said, not, hey, look, D-bag, if I find your car, I'm going to slash your tires.
Exactly, that would be bad. And I actually have a whole, there's a blog on my website. If you Google Yelp Schmelp Awesome Dynamic, I have a whole blog that talks about different strategies that you can use, and some very entertaining stories of what some business owners have done. There's actually one that proactively gets 1 stars just to spite Yelp, which is interesting.
Hey, Paul, we got a couple more questions, and we only have 3 minutes, so.
Sure. Sure.
Well, first of all, Kevin Key says, this guy's amazing. I need his help big time. I'll be calling ASAP. And Julie McLaughlin said, and I totally agree with her, she said, everyone needs to do this so we can all rank #1 in our areas. We could dominate 8WW chiropractic and wellness as a group. And then John Cohen, this is the question, can you review that American National easy way to write a review real quick?
Sure. The process, is that what he's asking?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so basically we create a page on the website that we direct them to, so whether it's how did we do. So they can send this out through email, or as you saw, it was a button on the site, and it just says thumbs up, thumbs down. And then when I select the thumbs down, goes to a form, I fill this out, hit submit, and it goes to somebody. It even says, call my personal cell phone at this number, and it's Brett Gold, customer relations, so they know they're going to get to somebody. They actually came to me and said 2 days ago, let's just put the office number. I said, think about when you call Comcast about your cable bill and you're pissed. You don't want to talk to the customer service person. You want to talk to somebody who's going to solve your problem. So let's make sure that we don't get them upset. And then the other way, I'm happy. So now come to Google, Facebook, or Yelp to leave us a review. And they click the button, and it says just choose one, and it'll only take a minute. I think it even says it'll take 1 minute, and then they go forth and leave that review.
Tell us where that is on their homepage.
Yeah, so if you go to AmericanNationalCO.com, you can hop down to the bottom of the page, and there's this Review Us button right here. So that's how you would access that.
Got it. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up, and I really appreciate it, Paul. I think this was just awesome. And again, guys, if you know this is a weakness, like I knew it was a weakness in our practice, I would absolutely recommend, based on our experience, and you can absolutely reach out to Julie as well. But hopefully, you can tell from this this webinar that Paul knows his stuff, and this is, like I said, this is pretty important. So. Paul, I'll leave that up for just a couple minutes so people can get your information, and really appreciate your time and appreciate you sharing with our group.